feels low to me. This chair feels low. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Board of Public Works and Safety meeting. Today is Monday, June the 5th. We have our counsel, Joe Jenner, on the line with us. Let's start, clerk, with calling a roll, please.
Absolutely. Mayor Courtney.
Here.
Excuse me. Mr. Carlo.
Here.
And Mr. Eaglin has an excused
Yep.
absence.
Board Member Eaglin is absent. Approval of the minutes. So our last meeting was May 15th. We have a motion to approve the minutes, please.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that the minutes for the May 15th, 2023 meeting be approved as submitted.
Okay. Any discussion? I second the motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Move on to claims.
Mayor, had an opportunity to review the claims. I'll make a motion that the claims be approved as submitted.
I'll second that motion. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Move on there. No adjustments, unfinished business. Go to new business. What I'd like to begin with is Board Member Carlo. I presented to you and a slight change to the agenda today. Rob Lucci and Matt Worth are here with Commonwealth Engineers. One of the projects that we have been working on over the last several months is updating a 1966 ordinance with regard to our streets and sidewalks, and particularly the excavation procedures in our right-of-way. That would be our streets, sidewalks, and literally even the grassy areas where the city may have a right-of-way. We've implemented a permitting process, an inspection process, as well as procedures is what we're working on now. And Rob, or you or Matt, if you want to come up, we'll just talk briefly about this proposal. The proposal here is to assist the city with the development of backfill and surface restoration standards and procedures. Rob, maybe talk a little bit about how important that is to any community, but particularly the city of Madison, as we are working to really bring structure on this very important topic.
Thank you, Mayor. It's absolutely important on a variety of levels. I think everybody's aware that the city's in the middle of a fairly significant construction project with respect to the water utility. And within that project, we have very specific requirements that we place on our contractors when it comes to backfill, when it comes to surface restoration, whether that's paving, seeding, sodding, concrete, what have you. But this shouldn't be something that's also limited to large-scale capital improvements projects, right? We have, the city has a lot of initiatives going on right now, and the mayor and the utility office, they recognize whether it's gas lines or it's communication lines or what have you, that there are other contractors working in and around the city performing excavations and subsequently needing to have some sort of guidance document providing them with instructions on what the expectations are from the city as far as backfill and surface restoration and timeliness to do each of those types of things. So what we were asked to do was help, and our firm, Commonwealth, we've done this in other communities. I have before you today an hourly not to exceed task order under our general services agreement with the city to work with the mayor's office, to work with the Board of Public Works, to work with the utility department to help the city develop and adopt standard procedures, standard specifications as it pertains to backfilling open cuts, whether it's within roadways or outside of roadways, surface restoration, again, depending on types of streets, alleys, driveways, and then beyond that, outside of paved areas. This effort would involve incorporating a lot of the information that we've applied already to your water utility project and the same information that we used on the sewer project that we completed 3-4 years ago. But it would include developing specifications, developing standard details that the city can then use and provide to all your contractors who are making application to do road cuts or utility installations or what have you. So this is something that's kind of been in the works for a while, and now that we're, got this very public water project going on, it's really come to the forefront. So we want to take the opportunity to keep pushing this forward and getting this, these standards adopted and developed. So first step would be for us to put together the draft information, get it to you folks to start reviewing, provide commentary, we'll make edits, and then when it's ready for formal adoption, then we'll proceed accordingly.
Yeah, I just want to thank you, Rob, because you've already been very helpful as we are trying to craft, a response to the number of cuts that exist in our streets right now. Brian's been working with us on creating an inventory. City Council's been working through the process with the mayor's office on the ordinance changes. That'll have its final reading at City Council tomorrow. And then obviously the logical step is to certainly make sure the contractors are engaged but informed and educated about what the procedures are and what the timetable is, because that's also another important thing. This is really going to allow us to get control over, as Rob had mentioned, third parties or third parties working on behalf of the city coming into the city and doing excavations. And now there's going to be a structure and an inspection and a bonding and warranty process in place, as well as a timetable that's going to allow much quicker, better, more durable backfill on these excavations.
Right.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the order with Commonwealth to assist the city in developing these backfill and surface restoration standards and procedures. It's an hourly rate based upon our standard contract, not to exceed $15,000. With the work we've already done in this regard and the procedures that are in place for the other projects, it should be less than that, but we'll work through it. And I'll make a motion there. If you want a second, we'll get it on the table and talk about any questions you might have, a board member.
Yeah, I'll second the motion
Okay.
to approve. And, yeah, I'd like to say that I think this is something that, the public may not think it's a big deal, just something that we're going through, but I think going forward, this is something that the public is going to appreciate, because one of the most common complaints that I hear is streets. And, I have to say, in my opinion, 95% of the problem with the streets has been the problem with cuts made in the streets and not being repaired correctly. So, it's something going, like I said, going forward that the public's going to appreciate. Anytime you cut a street, it's not going to be perfect going back until you completely resurface, but this is going to be a big improvement, I think, so.
And we have, as we're starting to compile the inventory, we'll probably end up in a couple hundred or more of inventory of road cuts across the city, many of which have to be addressed, completed, or repaired. And we'll start mapping that out and placing a budget behind that. And as Dave was saying, I'll reiterate too, this is a really significant step in the right direction to addressing the condition of our roads. We only do, we do road paving primarily through the Community Crossing Matching Grant Program. That has caps on it and a matching requirement, so it's really going to be the most heavily trafficked, worst roads. But this process will allow us to preserve and maintain our roads, the primary and secondary roads, much, much longer, so that they'll be more durable and we'll get more years out of our road surfaces. We have over 60 miles, probably closing in on 65 miles of roads, since we've taken over Old State Road 56 through town. And this is just an important step in the right direction. So I appreciate your help on all this, Rob. Any other comments, Dave?
I think one thing we have to look at is, we're an old city, and we have old water and sewer lines, and we're continuously upgrading with projects, but those old sewer lines and those old water lines, they're gonna leak, and they're gonna require repairs. So that's, you know, a lot of the problem that we're having with these road cuts. So I'm excited about this. I think this is a real good thing
Good deal.
for us, so.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any additional comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Thank you. Rob, thank you
Thank
very much. Matt, Brian, thank you. All right, moving on, we have a proposed amendment to resolution 20, Joe, I'm gonna turn it over to you if you're still there. Proposed amendment to resolution 20B, street closing for Juneteenth. Do you have the package in front of you, Joe?
No, Katie's gonna read.
Oh, Katie is, okay, thank you. And Sue, do you wanna come on up? I know that this is one for you.
This is an amendment to a previous resolution that was passed on May the 1st. We've had to make some, or Ms. Livers has had to make some adjustments to that, so I will read what is the proposed changes. A resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana regarding street closings for the Juneteenth 5K Fun Run Walk. Whereas, there has been a request filed by Sue Livers on behalf of Friends of the Lanier Mansion for street closings for said group in connection with their Juneteenth 5K Fun Run Walk to be held on Saturday, June 17th. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the following streets shall be closed from 7:45 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Saturday, June 17, 2023. Broadway Street from 3rd Street to 5th Street instead of Presbyterian Avenue to 5th Street. Presbyterian Avenue from Vine Street to the east side of Poplar instead of Vine Street to the west side of the entrance of Trilogy. 3rd Street from the west side of Vine to the east side of Poplar. 5th Street from the east side of the KDH Medical Office entrance to Springdale Cemetery. 6th Street from West Street to 5th Street. Elm Street from 3rd Street to 5th Street instead of Presbyterian Avenue to 5th Street. Vine Street from 3rd Street to 4th Street instead of Presbyterian Avenue to 4th Street. And 4th Street from Vine Street to Broadway instead of to Elm Street. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that said streets as closed shall be under the supervision and control of the Friends of Lanier Mansion at the times noted above for the year 2023. Amended and adopted this 5th day of June 2023.
Good morning, Sue.
Good morning.
Welcome back. I just have to, is this correct when it says Friends of Lanier Mansion? Okay, all right, didn't know if that was accurate or not. Any additional comments? I mean, the amendment to the resolution is very self-explanatory. We also have a map here showing what the event is going to be and the course for our road closures. Any additional comments, Sue?
I don't think so. I think it's self-explanatory.
How has registration gone?
Good.
Good.
Very good.
Good deal. And where will the 5K, is it beginning at
In front of the Gaines Park.
Gaines Park? Perfect.
It was beginning on 5th Street, near the police station, but we cut that off, so that's less street closure, but we added 3rd Street.
Okay, good. Dave, any comments or questions for Sue?
No, it looks like according to the map, a good layout. So,
What's your projected time and the 5K going to be this weekend?
probably 45 minutes.
That's awesome.
You're a winner.
Good deal. That puts you in an age group award, probably. I'll make a motion, we approve amended resolution 20B-2023.
I'll second that motion.
Any additional comments or questions?
No.
Thank you.
Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks, Sue. We'll see you Saturday. Moving on, we have resolution 28B, street closure for Riverfront Poker Run. Anybody here with the Madison Riverfront Development Committee? No, we'll table that one till next meeting. We have Resolution 29B regarding parking space closures on the north half of Mulberry Lot. So our Economic Development Director, Tony Steinhardt, is going to come up and talk about that. Katie?
This is Resolution 29B-2023, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, regarding a public parking lot closing for a ribbon-cutting celebration. Whereas there has been a request filed by Tony Steinhardt III on behalf of the City of Madison to close the north half of Mulberry Street City parking lot for a ribbon-cutting celebration. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the north half of the Mulberry Street City parking lot located on the corner of Mulberry Street and Second Street shall be closed from 6 p.m. on Thursday, June 22nd, 2023, through 10 p.m. on Friday, June 23rd, 2023, for a ribbon-cutting celebration. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that said parking lot as closed shall be under the supervision and control of the City of Madison at the times noted above for the year 2023, adopted this fifth day of June 2023.
Okay. Hey, Tony?
Yeah, good afternoon. We're having a ribbon cutting for the Mural Plaza at the parking lot at Mulberry Street on Friday, the 23rd. The Madison Area Arts Alliance, in cooperation with the city, is hosting the event. The event will be to celebrate the completion of our Ready 1.0 project there at the corner. The Regional Development Authority requires a ribbon cutting, and they have been invited to attend that as well. We have one representative at this time committed to being there from the RDA. So we'll look forward to that, as well as the Madison Area Arts Alliance will celebrate their donors to the mural on the wall there, the Kindness Mural. So it should be a fun evening. They're coordinating with the Madison Music Movement as well to have music within the district that evening. I know a number of the restaurants and venues will be having bands, as well as the band that will be playing at the plaza that evening for the celebration. So it should be a fun evening.
So Tony, it says here that we're closing the day before at 6 p.m. Is there a lot of setup required for this that would need that long of a closure?
You know, that doesn't probably need to happen until
Okay.
the next morning.
We'll leave it the way it is,
We'll leave it
but
the way it is. Yeah, I don't.
for now.
It may have. Yeah.
Okay.
What time's your ribbon cutting?
It's at 5:30, so the setup's in the afternoon on that morning. So we just need to figure that out.
We'll give you a range of
Give you a
time here
range.
in case you have to
Yeah.
mobilize some
5:30
things.
on the
23rd.
23rd?
Yeah, it'll be that evening. So we anticipate setting up in the afternoon. I don't know how hard it is to get cars out. That's the issue. If
Okay.
you're parked there, so not having done this before.
Well, the mural looks great. The mural lot looks great. It's reopened ahead of Memorial Day weekend. It's getting plenty of use. It has extremely amount of design engineered into it. Quite a few of Madison's firsts, I would say. And it's going to be a catalyst for even more development in that corridor. And it's part of our summer CCMG project too, is going to be enhancing roads and sidewalks there.
Yeah, that arts and cultural district will certainly look different come next spring with the improvements that'll be made this fall with paving along Mulberry Street and Second Street in that district, as well as we hope some other announcements in that same district soon. It's exciting to see the change that district and that street has had over the last few years with a lot of input from people. So it's really exciting. I would say the other two projects are on target. The Comfort Station lot, we expect that to be complete here in the next week and a half, as well as the Gateway project. So we're adding an additional 15 parking spaces as a part of the Comfort Station lot per the parking study that was completed. So we're excited about those opening up soon, and as well as some other amenities there for bike travelers and those who are in the handicap situation. There'll be additional parking at the Comfort Station for handicap individuals as well.
I'll make a motion. Okay.
I think anybody would have to be impressed to see the improvements. I mean, we go from a paved parking lot to what we've got now. It's impressive.
Yeah, when I say that, there's a lot of Madison's firsts in there. I mean, it's It's dealing with stormwater. It's got Madison's first speed table in it. It's got the bike stations. It's got specific golf cart parking so we can get designated areas there. It's fully accessible, so the accessibility standards are met. We've got handicap parking that didn't exist there before, EV chargers. And it's also promoting public art in a cultural arts district. So, Tony, you were very instrumental in the design of that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And
Yeah. It's an exciting example of
hopefully
what
yeah.
a little bit of design and thinking can do for multiple of the issues you just mentioned, and actually to be inclusive of all types of transportation, which I think is really important in today's environment.
And it's illuminating, so that was a very bright idea that you had.
It's very bright.
Thank
great.
Sure adds a lot to downtown, so.
Yeah,
It does.
thank
It's
you.
pretty cool.
Thank you very much.
I'll move that we approve Resolution 29B, 2023.
I'll second that motion.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Are you opposed, Carl? No. Carl's all for it. All right, moving on. We have a lot. As you can tell, we're really heading into our festival season and multiple ribbon cuttings, a lot of celebration across the community. Next up, we'll talk about the Resolution 30B street closure for Riverfest. Aaron and Jim are here to talk about great barbecue and music and hot summer temperatures.
That's right. Good morning.
Good morning.
Go ahead and read this into record real quick.
Yep.
Resolution 30B-2023, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana regarding street closings for the 2023 Madison Riverfest Barbecue and Blues Festival. Whereas there has been a request filed by Aaron Kindle on behalf of the Madison Riverfest Committee for street and parking closings in connection with the Madison Riverfest Barbecue and Blues Festival to be held Friday, August the 18th, 2023 through Saturday, August 19th, 2023. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the following streets, parking spaces, grassy lots, and park shall be closed from Monday, August 14th, 2023 at 2 p.m. through Sunday, August 20th, 23 at 12 p.m. Vaughn Drive from the east side of Mill Street to the west side of Jefferson Street. Vine, Elm, Broadway, Poplar, Central, and West Streets, all south from First Street to Vaughn Drive. The parking spaces located on the north and south sides of First Street between West Street and Central Avenue. First Street from the east side of Central Avenue to the west side of West Street. The grassy lot owned by the City of Madison, Indiana, and located directly north of the Chillbilly Treats Restaurant/ice cream shop and south of the alley running between West and Mulberry Streets. Fireman's Park, the parking lot located on the northeast corner of Jefferson Street and Vaughn Drive, and the former Ruler Grocery parking lot located on the corner of Second and Mulberry Streets. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that said streets, parking spaces, grassy lots, parking lots, and park as closed shall be under the supervision and control of the Madison Area Convention and Visitors Bureau and Madison Riverfest Committee at the times noted above for the year 2023, adopted this 5th day of June, 2023.
All right, good morning. Give us updates if there's something new here than what we've done in prior years.
Not really. The only thing, we have the grassy area that's behind Chillbillies. We still use that for backyard barbecue, but we have moved our dumpsters. We previously held them there, and we've moved them to a different location because they were interfering with his business. So we've moved those to a different location, but primarily our footprint's the same as it has been in prior years.
Okay. I want to just ask about a couple of the streets here. Central Avenue, I know it's part of the footprint and it's closed to vehicular traffic, but what I noticed last year is that it didn't look like it was open for golf cart staging. So maybe describe that a little bit, because I was a little surprised you couldn't get your golf cart in there because I thought that was primarily designated for golf cart staging.
So the homeowners that live along that way, what we ask for them is that to be an emergency exit. That's for basically our blues bands to actually come in, and then for emergency vehicles to come through and exit also. We don't let primary traffic come through there, but if they keep their golf carts in that location and off the roadway, we allow it. We don't cause any issues as long as they're staying out of our way when we're bringing those vehicles.
What I mean, are you saying if you leave the lane clear enough for an emergency vehicle to pass, they could still park their golf carts down through there. I just want to make sure from a, those who working the gate know that, because I know last year I went down there on a golf cart and I couldn't get there. I had to park somewhere else and walk down there.
Okay.
But I thought it was for golf cart staging as long as they didn't block the road.
As long as they didn't block the road, and I mean, obviously, it sounds like we need to clarify that a little bit
Okay.
better with our volunteers at that
Okay.
gate, so, but yeah, as long as they're keeping
Okay.
that roadway open, we're fine with it.
And then I don't remember closing the Ruler parking lot last year.
So the
So that,
ruler,
because that seems, because we need downtown parking when we're having a big festival like this. And you may have noticed, we've put the concrete barricades up so that you can't leave the exit on the south side of that parking lot. But what's with the grocery store parking lot?
so that one is, it's not a manned parking lot that we keep. We do put a phone number up on that location. It's primarily for handicap parking. So if somebody needs, help getting down to the venue, we'll let them park there. They'll call us and we'll have one of our golf cart crew come and pick them up and take them down to the event.
So the golf cart, so the parking lot's not closed. You're basically saying, if you're coming to the event and you're handicapped, park there and we can come and transport you to the event?
That's correct.
But we're not restricting other vehicles from using it that? We're not designating, all 45 spaces, for example, as handicap only?
No, we do
Okay.
have, like the sawhorse or the roadblock, the manual roadblock that's across it. We know people move it, but it's not a manned station. So if somebody needs to park there, they do, but we're asking that we keep a sawhorse up with our phone number that says handicap parking only.
Would it make sense to just designate a handicap parking area versus closing the entire lot? Because it sounds like what you're doing is you're barricading the entire lot, so there won't be any parking for any visitor there unless you're handicapped.
That is basically what we're doing. I mean, but it's also overflow from our VIP area. We just want to make sure that we have plenty of access for people who are handicapped to park in that area. So it's a functional, I mean, we're open to suggestion on that, but we just want to make sure that we have adequate parking for those individuals that need that closer access and someplace that they can get to.
How many handicap spaces do you feel you need?
How many do you think we have?
I think if we had 10 or 15, it would be adequate.
Maybe we could just make a note here that I'd like to figure out a way to designate the handicap versus the entire lot.
We
I mean,
could do
because
that.
again, we need downtown, you're gonna want downtown parking too. Even though the Mulberry lot will be open, but that's become a primary parking spot too.
The other option, because I believe it is in the ordinance or the resolution, is that currently we also have requested the field behind Chillbillies, that city field there. So we could move handicap down to that field for parking purposes.
That would be
As long
closer
as-
too.
As long as it's not a mud pie down there in
Yeah.
the rain. That would be the only thing that would prevent that, I think. So that might be an option for us.
Jim, what about the possibility of using the north side of First Street between West Street and Central?
Well, we're reserved,
Yeah, tents.
part of that is utilized for a beer garden already. And the other part of it is reserved for Central Street residents who need to be able to park their cars to be able to get in and out.
Because
So we have that area reserved and frankly, they use it.
I volunteer at the beer garden there on First Street, and I see people,
I won't say there aren't people that cheat on those spaces, but we do have them reserved for the First Street Central.
okay,
And now there are half a dozen maybe spaces on the north side.
well, that's what I'm
of
talking
First
about on
Street,
the north side.
On the north side, and we do have those set for handicap as well.
Handicap and central overflow. Each of the central locations, they have 2 parking passes that we allocate to them to park in those areas to make sure that they have plenty of places to park.
Like I said, I work there at the beer garden, and I see a lot of people parking on the north side, getting in and out of their vehicles.
Yeah,
and-
it's almost impossible
it's,
to
yeah.
enforce that.
Yeah.
We put signage up, but shy of having a patrolman or somebody actually patrolling that area. And frankly, there's much more critical areas that we do patrol, which is part of the reason that Ruler lot is not a manned blockage. So, because it's less critical than certain other areas where we've got pedestrians, we want to make sure we've got safe, and whatnot. But I do do think maybe our answer here to the question of the ruler lot is utilizing that field behind Chillbillies as a parking area.
We could do that, or, with your direction, just put up signage for 10, 15 spaces inside the ruler parking lot that's designated.
I'd rather do one of those or both of those candidly than reserve the whole, close off the whole lot. We're gonna need the space. I mean, otherwise they're gonna be driving around all over town and scattering, and you want that area to be centralized for, festival goers.
Okay. We
I
would
think-
do the 10 to 15
We'll do,
spaces, and then,
we'll block off, and it'll be a soft block, of
Okay,
course.
yep,
But say the 10 spaces to the south end
okay,
of that lot then.
that'd be great. Any other questions you had?
The other roadblocks that were mentioned, and I think we've discussed this in the past, will be soft roadblocks as long as we can keep them soft. And in fact, they won't even be closed if there aren't people working in the street. Once we've got tents going up and people working in the street, then we'll have to block those down. But those will be soft blocks until it just has to be a hard block.
Okay, gotcha.
Right.
So I would make a motion, we approve resolution 30B-2023 with the amendment to, number 8 to include 15 handicap spots. So it would read, the former Ruler Grocery parking lot located on the corner of Second and Mulberry Streets for 15 handicap spots. That's okay?
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you, guys. Looking forward to it. It's gonna be
Thank you, Mayor.
awesome. It's gonna be awesome. Thank you. We have resolution 31B next, street closure for Rockin' on the River. Good morning.
Resolution 31B-2023, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana regarding street and parking lot closings for the Rockin' on the River. Whereas there has been a request filed by Janelle Cleveland on behalf of the Salvation Army of Jefferson County for street and parking lot closings in connection with their Rockin' on the River to be held on Saturday, September 2nd, 2023. Now therefore it be resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the following streets shall be closed on Saturday, September 2nd, 2023, from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Vaughn Drive from Broadway Street to West Street, Poplar Lane, Central Avenue, and West Street, all south from First Street to Vaughn Drive, and the parking lot located on the northeast corner of Jefferson Street and Vaughn Drive. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that said streets and parking lot as closed shall be under the supervision and control of the Salvation Army of Jefferson County at the times noted above for the year 2023. Adopted this 5th day of June, 2023.
Good morning.
Morning.
Describe a little bit about the event. I know this is, how many years will this have been? 26?
26. Correct.
Wow.
26.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah, so this is the Salvation Army's biggest fundraiser. Besides Christmas.
Yep.
Besides Christmas. Yeah, so, it will be a car show, and then this year, instead of having the music start at 6, we're gonna start the music at 4. So the Madisonians will be here because the Doctor's Band has been dissolved.
Okay.
So the Madisonians will play from 4 to 6, and then you'll have the Monarchs that will come in from 6 to 8. So we will not be running till 10 o'clock at night any longer.
Okay.
The car show itself, the awards will start at 3, and they will end at 4. Those awards will not carry on forever. Yes.
Depends on how many cars you have, but I guess you only have a certain number of awards.
Yes, and
We are cutting back on the number of awards because we spent a lot of money on awards
Yeah.
last year, and it just wasn't the best financial decision in my opinion,
Okay.
so.
And speaking of more cars, in light of the 630 that was down at the River Run Car Show, I'd ask if I could amend this to have Broadway closed from First Street down to Vaughn.
Broadway from First down to Vaughn in anticipation of having a lot of vehicles.
Having a lot more cars.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I think that's fine. We just need to constantly be working to make sure we're not impairing access to Lighthouse, and I'm assuming Rock and Thunder would still be
Yes.
operating those two
Yeah,
businesses
so
there.
right now I'm on this side of Rock and Thunder, so all their access is open. So from Rock and Thunder all the way on the other side of Broadway. So I have all of Broadway, then I would have, Popular has those gates, so I'm hoping those gates will be shut at that time, because they were last year. And then there's some gates there at Central, I'm hoping will be shut as well, because they were last year. So then we will only have to man at West, First and West, and First at Broadway, and then our points, West and Bond, and Broadway and Bond, will be our man points.
And this is a free event, correct?
It is.
Okay.
correct.
I just had a question on the street closure, which is why are we closing West Street? Because that's again, what we're always trying to do, right, is have a defined footprint that gives enough space for safety and obviously the number of visitors you're gonna have, but also leave the perimeters open for, people to come down but still get around, even though they can't get across. And West Street's a main, thoroughfare down to Rock and Thunder, to the boat docks. But we're closing West Street. But your event is really inside the fence at Bicentennial and West, isn't it?
We have lowered our footprint this
Okay,
year.
okay, so I misspoke. So
Okay.
West will not be
You have it
closed.
highlighted.
Yeah, so it will not, so I'm trying to picture my
Okay.
So I'm seeing, the event starts, there'll be the sawhorses here, and then Rockin' on the Rivers, or the Rockin'
Rockin'
Thunder is
Thunder.
here. So yes, your car will be able to drive down to go to the boat dock, you'll be able to go to Rockin' on the Thunder, but you will not be able to turn right
Correct.
to go on Vaughn.
Just like River Run.
So that's
So
right.
so you'd be fine with striking the
West Street.
closing of West Street?
Yeah, so West
Okay.
Street will not be closed. I'm sorry, I misspoke.
It's okay, no.
Yeah, that was a concern because this is Labor Day weekend.
right.
That's a popular
Yes.
weekend for boaters. And
Yes.
closing West Street would interfere, so.
Yes, I kept driving around there
Yep.
last night, and I was like, these people are gonna think I'm doing a drive-by or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, so West Street will not be closed, yes. But I
Okay.
would like to ask for Broadway from First down to Broadway, so that will give me extra room for cars.
Now, would Broadway be optional? Only if, we'd only
As
close
overflow?
it if you need it?
Right,
Or-
right, so the idea is that they're gonna come down and you're gonna have, registration is gonna be at the end of Broadway and you're gonna turn left. When you turn left onto Vaughn, that's where you register, and then you're gonna come on in and start parking. If that gets full, then we will start filling up Broadway. If it
Okay.
does not, Broadway is gonna be open,
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
So Broadway's an overflow street?
yes.
Okay. Okay, I think I understand now.
This is Angela and I's first year actually being in charge of this, so we're still learning. So
Hey,
thank
hey.
you for your grace.
Oh, you're welcome. No, we're all learning at the same time, and, last year we implemented the event guidelines. It's made this year go much smoother because a lot of those event footprints and procedures carried over. So our goal last year was to get some organization and focus on safety, and then also so that our police and fire can also address the out-of-footprint impact from some of the festivals. I mean, at the River Rat Runs Car Show, we had almost 30,000 people in town that weekend, 30 to 35,000, and it was nuts here. It was like a 4th of July weekend on Memorial Day. So, the focus on out-of-footprint is very important to us because people don't stay down on the river. They come up here and enjoy everything else that Madison has to offer, which is great.
On the event running sheet, I had noticed that, I'd originally put, we're gonna be setting up from 7 to 9, and that's our volunteers getting our tents set up, registration tables set up, and I had that the streets would close at 8, but that's false, because we have to do the 24-hour notice, we have to put the signs out, and to let everyone know, and then the car show will actually start, cars will actually be allowed to start coming in at 9,
9 o'clock,
because
okay.
we wanted to start getting that finished up earlier.
It's
Okay.
gonna be a better streamlined, than last year. You know, there will be like a pre-registration entrance, and then if you
Good.
haven't pre-registered, you have to come in on this street. Angela has that all down to a science, and so.
Okay.
Last year it was kind of a hot mess, but we were both new.
Well, hopefully it's a successful event, and
So,
Dave, you have any comments or questions? If not, we'll move to approve Resolution 31B 2023 with the amendment of striking West Street from a street closure.
adding Broadway.
and adding Broadway, if needed for overflow.
Yes.
I'll second that motion.
Any comments or questions?
I would
Yes.
just say, while we're in front of you, we would ask that Mayor Courtney would come and present the
Yes.
Mayor's Choice Award, again this
Oh,
year.
I'd love to.
If you are able to come, we would greatly appreciate it.
Would love to. Thank you for,
Already have that ordered.
thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it
Good luck to
very
you.
much.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank you.
So all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, is anyone here representing DuPont relative to a temporary access for ATV poker run? All right, I'm gonna, since this is scheduled for Saturday, June 17th. Wait a second, what do we do with the, June 17th? Let me go ahead and address this. I'll represent DuPont today since I've met with them as well as my staff. Katie, you want to go ahead and read this resolution?
Sure. Resolution 32B-2023, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, allowing all-terrain vehicles to travel on certain city streets during the DuPont ATV Poker Run. Whereas there has been a request filed by Don Gines on behalf of the DuPont Community Park Project to allow ATVs to travel on certain city streets during the group's DuPont ATV Poker Run to be held on Saturday, June 17, 2023. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that ATVs participating in the DuPont ATV Poker Run shall have permission to travel on the following streets on Saturday, June 17, 2023, between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. East Street between Dugan Hollow Hill and 3rd Street, 3rd Street between East Street and Walnut Street between East Street and Vaughn Drive between Walnut Street and Fireman's Park and Telegraph Hill. Be it therefore resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the participants will abide by traffic regulations regarding ATVs at all times while traveling on the city streets, adopted this 5th day of June, 2023.
I think the mayor went out to check and see if anybody from DuPont was in the lobby, so.
Sorry. Apologies. So this is restricted access to some of the city's roads in a very short period of time in order to help facilitate a fundraiser for the new playground in DuPont. I would move that we approve Resolution 32B, 2023. I've been talking with the Chief of Police about this, so we'll monitor the street access very closely, and of course, they have to abide by all of our other traffic regulations. Dave, do you have any, you want to second this and ask any questions? Yep.
I'll second the motion. I had a question about item number 3,
3?
Walnut Street between East Street and Vaughn Drive. It appears maybe they left out 3rd. That should be East 3rd Street.
3rd
Does that make
Street
sense?
between,
Because East Street and Walnut Street run parallel with each other,
Yep.
so.
Walnut Street.
And according to the map,
Oh, yes. Yes, they do.
it looks like that's, Walnut Street is closed between East 3rd Street and Vaughn Drive, so.
What would you amend that to? Oh,
See, it looks
Yep.
from the map here,
Yep.
so it looks like they just left out 3rd
oh,
when
that's,
they
well,
typed up the ordinance.
3rd Street between East Street and Walnut Street is there on number 2. You see
No,
that?
yeah, okay. Yeah, this is 3rd Street.
Okay.
and
Between
that's-
East and Walnut,
And then this number 3 is Walnut Street
and then Walnut
between,
South, from between 3rd, okay, there you go. That should be between 3rd Street and Vaughn Drive. Yep,
yeah.
gotcha. We'll make that amendment. Any other comments or questions? Do we have a second?
This is, and this just allows ATVs to be on our city streets, which we don't currently.
Correct. From
Allows
between
them.
1 PM and 3 PM on June the 17th to help facilitate their poker run and visit the park downtown and raise funds for their DuPont playground.
Yeah,
You want a second?
good. I'll second, yeah,
Okay.
I second the
All right,
motion.
we'll open up any comments or questions.
I just quick, these are just temporary closures, right?
It's just for that day from 1 to 3 PM, and it's not a closure. It's just to allow them to drive on the road. Yes,
To be governed by police officers.
yes. Yep, thanks, Shelby. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Thank you. And moving on. Clerk?
Resolution 33B 2023, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, restricting golf cart parking to parking spaces designated specifically for golf carts in the Mulberry Street public parking lot. Whereas the City of Madison has recently made improvements to the Mulberry Street public parking lot located at the corner of Mulberry Street and Second Street. Whereas there are now several parking spaces designated specifically for golf cart parking only in said parking lot. Whereas it is the desire of the City of Madison that golf carts be restricted to parking in the parking spaces designated for golf carts in said parking lot and to refrain from parking in other parking spaces. And whereas that all other parking spaces not designated for golf carts shall be used by motor vehicles or motorcycles only. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that Section 1, golf carts are permitted to only park in the parking spaces designated for the golf carts in the Mulberry Street public parking lot. Section 2, the City of Madison Street Department is hereby authorized to erect such signs and other traffic control devices as may be necessary to implement the intent of this resolution. Section 3, any and all violators shall be subject to state and local parking fines and regulations. Section 4, this resolution shall become immediately effective upon its adoption by the Board of Public Works and Safety. Signature of the mayor, enrollment in the Book of Resolutions, publications of notice as required by law, and posting of the appropriate signs at intersection. Section 5, any resolution in conflict with this resolution is hereby repealed, adopted this 5th day of June, 2023.
And I'll just mention, as we talked earlier, with the redevelopment of the Mulberry Street lot, we now have designated areas, so we've been able to accommodate a lot of multimodal forms of transportation in that. There are 11 designated parking spots for golf carts. Monitoring it over since the lot opened, doesn't look like this will be an issue, but we wanted to make sure that we could regulate it so that we didn't restrict car or other vehicular parking in that lot, and we think that this will work fine. This does not include the perimeter on-street parking. It's only for inside that parking lot. We need to make sure that we're leaving ample space for vehicles there. Make a motion, we approve Resolution 33B-2023. If we have a second, we'll open up the floor for comments.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, open up to comments.
Section 3, any and all violators shall be subject to state and local parking fines and regulations. I didn't get a chance to research that, but we have ordinances pertaining to,
Yes, we have traffic regulations that
Specific.
would bring this in there that would allow a citation or warning, for example, if it was warranted by, at the discretion of the police department.
for illegal golf cart parking.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
I don't anticipate it's a problem, but this is something we want to regulate before it becomes a problem.
right.
Anything else? Any other comments or questions? Hearing none? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Nicole is here to give us, Nicole and Dewey are here to give us an update on nuisance cases and unsafe structures.
Good morning. I'm gonna let Dewey do most of the talking. I'm just here as backup.
gentlemen, lady, board.
Good morning.
Afternoon, I guess it is now. So yes, I'd like to give you a mid-year update on nuisance cases, and then we'll go into some of the unsafe structures that we are still working on. To date, actually, these numbers are a little bit skewed. Actually have 196 active cases so far this year, nuisance cases. 113 new cases in 2023, which were actually down quite a bit, but the growing season has started recently, so that will pick up. As you see, just in May, I had 39 new nuisance cases, primarily grass and weeds, but and I've got 10 so far here in June, and we're just 3 working days in. So the causes of those are different from last year. It's actually been more trash that I've seen, and we're going to go through some examples here in a second. Excuse me. And abandoned and junk vehicles have been more. I think it's a result of, I was telling Nicole, this is my 18-month anniversary of coming on board. So last year it was easy to see grass and weeds and those types of things, but a little bit more experience, maybe that's what's happening. And then unclean and disorderly premises, I'll show you some examples of that here next. Any thoughts on that or questions?
No, as you say, as you progress through the year, it's probably going to pick back up. So, this is only our second year of having full-time code enforcement, producing tremendous results, by the way. But year over year, we'll start getting some comparisons. So there'll probably be a leading indicator as to what to expect,
Exactly.
resource-wise.
Yep. So some of the pictures you're going to see may be, I won't say offensive, but there's some things that may catch you off guard. Some of these pictures are from last fall, but they're all what I'm seeing on almost a weekly basis. This is on West Main Street down near the creek, the picture on the left, and then picture on the right is up up near the L&L ballroom, or the L&L lounge, up in that area.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, as you go through here, are these some of the nuisance cases you've abated? So this is an example of what you're seeing. Have these been abated?
Not all of them.
Not all of them, okay.
No, in fact, how do I go back, Nicole? So the picture on the left here is, we had some volunteers from Ivy Tech earlier in the year that we went down and began this cleanup. It is impossible. Once the foliage began growing, it was impossible to get to some of this stuff. So this fall, again, maybe early winter, when we can get back in there, we will continue cleaning this up.
Dewey, question.
Yes, sir.
This is on a homeowner's lot. I mean, have you been able to have contact with the property owner?
This is on multiple lots.
This is an area down by the creek that probably with years of different flooding, it also brought trash and debris that was deposited there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see,
Go
other
West
than,
Main Street and look over the hillside toward the creek, that's where it's at.
So this is not necessarily a accumulation by the homeowner of just discarding stuff in their yard.
I don't see any evidence of like intentional dumping, but we could argue it's hard, so you see, I believe that's a sofa, and I have, 25, 30 photographs. I just tried to keep it.
Yeah.
There's water heaters down there, there's appliances, so some of that, I don't know if it got there via flood, but
What Dewey had previously
Right.
coordinated was some volunteers to help start cleaning this area up.
yes. Yep.
It runs right along the Heritage Trail on the other side of the creek too, so it's visible.
Hang in there with us, we'll
Yep.
get this all cleaned up back there, but it's gonna be a multiple events
Yeah.
to get it all done. So, once we do have it done, then we'll be able to, you know, so it's on my route, so to speak. So once I see new stuff, then it'll be easy to determine maybe if there is dumping going on, so. Okay. Picture on the right, picture on the left, or the upper picture has been abated. The one on the right is a continuous case. You see the mattress there, that's gone, but it's taking time for these folks to get that cleaned up, and more stuff comes out of the house, and so that's a continuous project for me. Here's down along Walnut, the grass and weeds between, is it Jerry Lane, right? Jerry Lane and Walnut. East First Street, just north of Fillmore, is where the picture on the right is. These have both been abated. The one on the left is directly, or the upper picture is directly in front of the First Financial Bank on Third Street.
Wow.
Just across the street.
Right there at a busy intersection.
Yeah. And then the one on the bottom picture, the lower right, is actually from the, what I came to learn is the Leaning House. What address was that, Nicole?
Oh, on Walnut Street?
Yeah, on
Yeah.
Walnut. This was
500 block?
500 block. It was in behind that before that has been demolished and all that is cleaned up, so that's abated as
Yep.
well.
Okay, wow.
This is, the upper picture is on Highland Drive on the hill, 600 block of Highland Drive. That is a continuous back and forth with these folks as well. The cars on the right are actually near the church, again, near the L&L Lounge up there. They're actually the garbage that was in front of a house a few pictures back. These are behind that. It was the same owner, actually, but they are gone as well. The upper right picture was on Baltimore, just to the south of 2nd Street. That has been abated. And the car is on 1,000 block of Park Avenue. That also has been removed. So.
These are just examples of what you're dealing with all the time with your nuisance, the hundreds of nuisance cases that you've been evaluating.
Yes, sir. Okay. Let's talk about neglected, vacant, abandoned, and unsafe properties. Initially, when the building inspector and I came to, we had about 116 properties or structures in what we were calling the universe, at that time, universe of structures. Per the unsafe building law, any structure that's vacant for 6 months or longer, or not being used for its intended purpose, is considered unsafe. And we've struggled with that a little bit in our office, trying to determine maybe more appropriate definitions. Certainly you're gonna have neglected properties, you're gonna have nuisance cases, grass, weeds, maybe windows broken, we're gonna have those. Then you've got another level up from that we're calling vacant, which may seem, well, obviously no one's living there, it's a vacant property. Abandoned is a little bit more severe, if that's the right word, to say that not only is it vacant, but we can't find an owner, or, it's just, we have nowhere to go with it. And then the worst case scenario we're saying is actually unsafe, and we'll go into some of those here in a second. Currently, we have 93 properties, so we've had some progress with demolitions and some abatement of other things. Just a side note, I thought I'd put this in here. I have been speaking with the Postal Service, and they estimate that there may be, and their definition is a little bit different than ours, but there may be 10 times within Madison, the city limits, 10 times the number of vacant houses that we currently are aware of. We came upon one, Nicole and I, what was that, the 1,000 block of West First, the corner of Wall Street, Main. 1,000 block of that corner of Wall Street and wouldn't think it was, I mean, grass is fine, windows are fine, lights seem to be on, but no one's lived there in years. And the post office, I only became aware of it because the post office, I sent a letter there for a nuisance case, and that was the address of the owner. It hasn't, no one's lived there in years, so, just an interesting
Yeah.
observation.
Dewey, I got a question about the vacant or, well, abandoned houses, I guess.
Yes, sir.
You say you have trouble finding the owner of the property? I just wonder, these properties are taxed, and I just wonder what the county does when they send out tax notices for these properties. I mean, do they end up on the tax sale list, or, how, I mean,
Sure.
somebody has to be paying the taxes, or else it's eventually gonna go up for tax sale. So,
Good question. Yeah,
So we do use the same legal address that the county does for the tax records. Now, if somebody doesn't receive their tax bill but goes ahead and pays it, there's no record of where that payment came from. So we follow the same process the county would with the taxes. And that's our problem is we don't know how else to get a hold of these people if they don't have utilities turned on, or if mail's undeliverable. There's not a clear way for us to reach out to them.
Or there could be a number of reasons why they're absent and not getting their mail. They could be deceased, they could be out of the country, they could be in jail. I mean, it's really a variety of things, all of which he has faced, trying to contact the owners for action on these properties.
so somebody's paying the taxes, they just don't know
They could-
who or where it's coming from, so, okay,
Or sometimes they aren't paying their taxes, and it might take a couple of years before
right.
it hits the tax sale, and then there's all these procedures. Shelby, I'm sorry, you have to come up here if you want to make a statement.
No, you're looking at these properties that.
Hey, Shelby, if you just please go up to the mic, thank you.
You're looking
Yep.
at these properties that are abandoned, but are they upkeep? I know one where, out on the ridge where I live, they've got people come maintenance, nobody lives there. I think there's summer places for,
Yeah.
people come, went to Florida, come back, and live in them, but they're being maintained. I assume there's no big issue with that. Even though the house may be abandoned, it's been being kept by
Yeah.
some contractor, so.
yeah, so abandoned means, right, when we've talked about this in our discussions, and I'm gonna go into an ordinance that we're talking about, abandoned, wouldn't include, there'd be exceptions, obviously, we have a lot of Airbnbs or vacation homes or different things of that nature, although we have had discussion that we're going to monitor those. There may be no nuisance case, meaning grass or weeds or junk vehicles or broken windows or that type of thing. But an example we had by the mansion, we had a piece of flashing, is that the right word? Piece of flashing that was dangling over the sidewalk. The owners are in Michigan. They've never responded to us. So we went ahead and took care of that from a safety standpoint. So, could be something of that nature. But I don't think anyone has lived there for some time either. I don't know if it's a vacation home or,
Those are just basically on a watch list, but not rising to the level of an active nuisance case to resolve. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to take care of something, they should be, get it built.
yeah, and we're considering, and again, we'll get a little bit into that. For folks who don't have, if they're not local, we need to have a contact, someone locally or within an hour's drive or something that they can get here to take care of issues that should be taken care of. Does that make sense?
You might be able to check the court record for the payment notes, receipt payment from the county clerk on taxes.
Okay, is that information that's public?
They should be able to say, since you're a city official, where you're receiving payment for that property, what's,
let's go through the rest of the presentation, if you don't
Yes,
mind.
sir. Yep.
Thanks.
This was just a graphic of what I'm trying to do. It's supposed to be a funnel where we've got unsafe and uninhabitable is the worst, which we're gonna go through right now. Unsafe and uninhabitable structures, abandoned, vacant, neglected, and then our goal obviously is to have everything safe and habitable. What Nicole and and she may talk a little bit more about, is a vacant and abandoned ordinance, and we'll talk about that here shortly. So here is a list of what, and we've seen these before, what we're currently looking at as the unsafe and uninhabitable structures in town. This is Craigmont Street. We've seen this before. Initially, we're contacted in August. The building inspector provided them a 5-day letter, meaning that they needed to appear or get with, to reach out to us, and nothing has been done. So we are of the opinion that we should be seeking an inspection warrant. This is actually, someone does live here. This is the only uninhabitable, but someone's actually living there. We believe it is.
Is there water service to that place?
Oh, you would ask me that.
I'm sorry, we could probably just go through the presentation and ask questions later, but
Yeah, no, that's okay.
that-
And I should know that.
Yeah.
I'm not certain. Quickly found out, though. This is Elm Street.
Okay.
We're familiar with this. Continues to worsen. I pass by weekly. This has been going on a decade nearly with this particular one. We did meet with the owners, had an internal inspection. Notice was given in April to get that shored up or do something with it, and we're still not anywhere with that one. So, I don't think there's any pace or anything happening with that, is there? Okay. This, although it's not a residence, is probably my biggest fear. This is the alley behind West 3rd Street, 700 block of West 3rd. This is being held up with bungee cords, basically. And they did obtain a demo permit, if I'm not, yeah, they did obtain a demo permit, but still nothing has been done. If you recall, the grandson, I believe it was, did appear here back in February. So we're at a standstill. This is quickly becoming a number of issues have happened here. 6 nuisance cases, 2 active liens just since November of last year. Recently found a number of puppies and a mother dog there. We did meet with the owner, the building inspector and I. They were to get a dumpster and clean it all out. We don't believe, there's actually people living there now. Water service has been turned on. I know this picture doesn't do the property justice, but it is.
The rear of this is way worse than what you're seeing on the front facade.
Yeah, the mayor can,
Yeah.
vouch for that. It's along the side, actually, where that white, to the rear of the yellow part of the structure, there is blue tarp, under which trash just accumulates and accumulates. And I send my contractor out there to, like I say, we do this on a continuous basis. So there has been progress at 145 Lafayette. If you saw previous pictures, there was a porch that was falling in. So they are making progress here. I've left messages but have yet to speak with these folks again about how quickly this will be completed or what their plans are. This is a case of, you were asking about, can't find the owners. This is a little off the, I mean, it's certainly unsafe. It's off the radar in that you wouldn't know it's there unless you were looking for it. It's actually across from the jail, the new jail up J.A. Berry, just south of J.A. Berry, just within the city limits. But there are 2 parcels here that we have never spoken to any owners. We've taken care of the grass and weeds. We've sent letters. All of them are returned. Address in Kent, I believe it is. But no one has ever responded to us. Actually, that was probably one of the first 2 or 3 properties that I put on our initial list, so. All right, another one that probably surprising, but is definitely unsafe. Mayor can vouch again that the back of this building is probably worse than, the back of the home is worse than what the picture tells you here. The owners are deceased. The daughter we have spoken with and met with. Her intent was to demolish it. This is, in between Mauser and
So Montclair?
Montclair, perhaps.
Well, the neighbors appeared at our last meeting
Yeah, Mr. Lofton was here.
concerning
Yes.
this.
So I've spoken with him on a number of, he lives to the west of that, I believe, to the right of the house. We've spoken a number of times as I'm up there. But the back is completely open. Well, you can see the garage door has no, it does not
Wow.
come to the ground. There's animals in there. We believe people are in there too. So. This is not inhabited, or it's not a residence, it's more of a garage, but you can see how it's really leaning to the back side. Luckily, that home in the back is, I don't know, how many feet have you been up there? I don't know if you've been up there. Probably 30, 40 feet, so should it fall, it's not going to at least hit that structure, but this needs to come down pretty soon. 705 Walnut, we're familiar with this. There is PACE grant money's happening here. I'll let Nicole talk about that if she'd like to. But repair has stopped, from what I understand, due to conflict between the owner and contractors.
What's going on with go back to that
Oops.
property for just a second, because 707 is fenced in, right? So at least from an unsafe perspective, there's no access there, but what about the rear of this one?
Sure, good question. Actually, just
Because it used to be boarded up, but I think there was some demolition that was occurring in preparation for, the restoration of the building.
Yes, in fact, just might have been Thursday, we did fence in the back of this.
Oh, we did, okay.
We did fence in the back of this property, because the basement was open. I mean, it's probably a good 10, 12-foot hole drop into that, so we did fence that in. Yep. Yeah, Dewey young lady, but that's okay. I have 2 brothers named Huey and Louie. That's right.
But in the front, you can get right in the front there. That's just little plastic that they hung. And the back, you saw the back of it? The back is, I'm telling you, you talk about dangerous. It is so dangerous, it's not funny. They used to have plywood covering that back section they tore out, but now they tore it out and it's just a big, huge, open hole.
But it's surrounded by a fence, except for the front part.
But yeah, I mean.
Sounds like we need
anything could climb that fence.
We need,
I mean, the kids used to come in over there all the time, and I'd have to run them off, because I was afraid they were gonna get hurt. It's a mess, it's a mess. And as far as, her having trouble with the contractor, what the heck is that supposed to mean? Find a new contractor, they make excuses. I have asked Link about the one next door over and over and over again. Did they ever find out if that was what it was supposed to be? Because it was scrapped for demolition, then you all let it go for the cornerstone because they said it
Mindy.
ran, because they said it was something, something, something. And yet I've asked him 100 times. They had the professor over there and everything. I spoke to the professor, and Link will never say that they have proven it was what it was supposed to be. I still would like to know that. And he will not tell me. So that kind of makes me wonder. And that one has said, now for 6 weeks, they had it cleared out. On the one side of that house, the little one, it's complete open wall to the Jenkins. There's no wall in that house. On the, Jenkins side.
Dewey and Nicola, we had an update from either Cornerstone or, the company that owns that house, the Jenkins.
I
And
have not.
Lansing.
The last time I heard from, Ms. Jenkins, who represents, the nonprofit that owns this one in particular, she was working to file her midpoint PACE, report, but she's working with her previous contractor to get the invoices, of the work that's been completed. That's the last update I've had.
Okay. Well, it may be time to have a meeting with both of them to understand what's going on, because we have been working on them. I'm glad that we're making progress. There's pace. There was some construction happening there, but not very fast.
This is 524 Jefferson, next to the Jeff House. The rear, again, is more the issue, although maybe Nicole can speak to building inspector's inspection of the interior. I forget if there's some, okay. But they are a notice violation, and back in January, he had issued a 60-day abatement. Still no movement on this one either. We're all aware of Moody Park. I'm not sure what I'm allowed or, would talk about, except that one of the mobile homes, as you see, has been demolished. He has obtained a second demolition permit, I believe, for 412 or 414. Shame on me.
But that was a while ago, and he hasn't done the demolition?
No,
Okay.
this picture was taken just, can't see that far, just last week.
Okay.
So no, that's the only one that's been demolished so far.
And we're gonna talk about Moody Park here in just a minute after this is finished.
Okay. That's really it for me. Again, Nicole and I are working on an ordinance that we're calling a vacant and abandoned ordinance. And I think we'll talk more about that as time goes on, but something to address, how do we hold owners accountable for some of these things and keep us aware of them and different things. So we're working on that. So, any questions from me?
Well, I mean, just to continue to shine a light on these, because it takes a lot of property owner collaboration to make the difference that we want. We cannot abate all of these unsafe structures or nuisances by ourselves. It takes owner cooperation. The universe is way too large. It's gone on for way too long. And again, we just touched on a handful of them. Multiply that by 10, which you are working on, the ones we talked about, that I think frames up how difficult this initiative has been. We've made a lot of progress, but still, we had no idea the problem was this significant and how long it would take to abate, and how much significantly longer and expensive it takes to abate, when you have to go through a legal process in order to do it. But
Sure.
You have to keep doing it, and that's the only way to drive these numbers down. And then we also have to develop policies that help us, enable us to take the action that we need to. And then, the other step here is to look at penalties and fines. That's something that's another generation that hasn't been deployed, that has to be evaluated and incorporated in on how you get some action, more action and more traction. Probably a good time, Joe, if you're still on, to maybe talk about an update on the Moody Park, because Board of Public Works back in March, I believe, issued an order for the removal or demolition of 7 of the units that were deemed to be unsafe and uninhabitable at Moody Park. Joe, are you still there?
I am, yes. And so the update on that is, following the Board of Works decision, the Cunninghams have appealed that decision. So they filed a complaint to appeal that decision, which they have the right to do so. We have since answered that complaint, but we have also been in some potential talks of trying to negotiate and resolve the matter in its entirety. Most recently, the city has engaged in some talks to try and see if we can't do something to essentially clean up the entire area and rid the city of that nuisance. However, they asked for till the end of this week to kind of consider that, and so I think we are open to doing so. Obviously, a resolution would probably be better than continuing on with the lawsuit from an expense and more reasonable outcome. So, my recommendation is that we explore that to the point that we can't feel like it's not fruitful. I'm also going to request that the court set some dates to keep the matter moving, so that way it's still on a reasonable timetable to get resolved.
Okay, just another example that now we're in the legal system. Now we're accruing a lot of time and money to try to resolve the situation.
Frankly, and I mean, that's the whole issue with all of these, right, is, if we can get owner cooperation, if we can do some things like that, it's always the best, because going the legal route in order to affect one's property, which is one of the highest rights that we have in our country outside of your family and things like that in life, it becomes very tedious, and it's laborious, and it is very difficult, and it is very expensive and resource consuming in order to do so. So I would commend Dewey and Nicole and the job that they are doing in trying to get involvement amongst property owners to get some of these things resolved, because that, frankly, is still the absolute best way.
Thank you, Joe. Dewey, recently you plotted these across the city. Let's incorporate that in the next blight update presentation. Through OpenGov, we have the ability to map these, and you can see where they're concentrated, but also just how many there are in the city that we're having to address.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Trying.
It's important. Any other comments or questions before we move on to the PACE? Let's talk about good news, which is improvements to properties, continued improvements of properties and across the city with the PACE program.
Yes. Starting off, I have several applications that the PACE committee reviewed at their last meeting and are recommending for funding. The first application is 510 Mulberry Street. Central Holdings LLC is requesting a rehabilitation grant for $7,500. Their work includes a replacement of 2 windows, exterior paint, and repair of 32 existing wood windows. Next application is 723 East First Street. Stephen Miner is requesting a rehabilitation grant for $7,500. His work includes the replacement of 12 windows. The next application is 912 West First Street. Van and Trevor Crafton are requesting a dilapidated structures grant for $25,000. Their work and approval is contingent on historic board approval, but includes aluminum clad windows, LP smart siding, roof, exterior paint, and some structural components. Nine 14 West First, Trevor and Van Crafton are asking for a dilapidated structures grant on this portion for $25,000. Again, contingent on historic board approval. Work includes aluminum clad windows, LP smart siding, roof, and structural repairs. Next is 315 Mill Street. Tim and Linda Bips is requesting. Bipes, sorry.
Yep.
My P looks like a B.
Yep.
They're requesting a rehabilitation grant for $7,500. Their work includes windows. Next is 606 West Third Street. Jacqueline Frazier is requesting a rehabilitation grant for $7,500. Her work includes exterior paint, some woodwork, and front door. The next application is 760 West Third Street. Amika Corin and his wife Jill are requesting a rehabilitation grant for $7,500. Their work includes removal of paint, tuck pointing, some window work, and flashing, as well as a door frame. The next application is 700 Green Road. This unsafe structure is being requested for full demolition and rebuild of a new structure for $5,850 by the Heath Family Trust. This building was deemed unsafe by the building inspector, and their PACE grant includes the demolition and then temporary seating and straw of this lot with the plans to build a structure within the time frame allotted, which is 2 years after.
How much are they requesting?
It's 50% of the project is $5,850. And the final application is Julie Brown for 623 Broadway Street, dilapidated structures grant for $25,000. Her work is quite detailed, including selective demolition, foundation work, and then reframing, along with.
Is this down near
other
Gaines Park?
stuff. Mhm.
Wow, that area's gonna be really beautiful. So we have 9 projects totaling $118,350 in grant amount, over $400,000 on private investment, which I think is a low number, $521,000 in work. 3 of the properties are designated dilapidated structures, and 1's a dangerous structure.
Yes.
And is this the second quarter, third quarter? Where
This
are we
is
at in
the
quarter?
third, this is the third round.
Third round.
We're currently accepting applications for our 4th round. We do anticipate that funding will run out in this 4th round.
Yeah. When does the application deadline for the 4th round?
Today.
Today's app, okay.
Yes.
Let's talk about that, okay? Not the deadline, but the
Funding, sure.
number of applications received. Well, I just want to continue to reiterate, I'm grateful for each and every person here or company who's making sizable investments to help us continue with our neighborhood revitalization efforts. This has been extremely successful, and again, it wouldn't happen. And like the other conversation we're having with our blighted nuisance properties, this happens because of private investment that's partnering with the city to make a substantial impact. So good job on this too. I'll move that we approve the recommended applications for the 3rd round of the City of Madison's PACE program.
I'll second that
presented.
motion.
Any comments or questions? Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And, before we go on, I wanted to mention too that why all of this work is so important. There was an article in last week's paper written by Tracy Eder. Bob, I don't know her. Building collapse, a very dangerous situation. This was about a building collapse in North Vernon. Oh, this might have been an article we picked up out of there. And it demonstrates how important our diligence is in monitoring unsafe structures. This was a building that is in the middle of a big block of historic buildings like ours that collapsed. And it's just really important to be constantly monitoring these unsafe structures because they're designated unsafe for a reason, and they are unsafe. And you don't have to wait until a building collapses before we do something about it. And there's lots of variables to what is unsafe. And a building doesn't even have to be near collapse to be determined unsafe. It could be creating an unsafe condition or element or nuisance in the neighborhood. And that's what we're trying to really address with our robust efforts on PACE and code enforcement. And it's an overwhelming amount of work that we have to do. But if we didn't do it, we'd be in the situation that we've been in for the last 30 years, which is a growing problem of dilapidated and dangerous and unsafe nuisance properties. So thank you to all the investors who are working to help us with our neighborhood revitalization.
In response to the situation in North Vernon, I've read 3 or 4 articles on that building collapse. And not only was it dangerous for that building, but it was dangerous for the surrounding buildings. I believe there might have been a restaurant next door to it.
Yeah, there is.
So, you know, it not only affects the building, part of the building that collapsed, but it also affected the businesses around it, so.
Absolutely. Moving on, we have a PACE amendment for 212 and then a PACE final. Couple of
Yes.
PACE finals.
PACE amendment for 212 East East Street was filed by the Jefferson County Youth Shelter. They are requesting a amendment to their approved PACE grant. Their initial application included tuck pointing within the scope of work and the gutter guards. The gutter guards were completed, however, their other funding source for the remaining tuck pointing fell through, so they're asking to change the scope of work and lower the awarded PACE grant amount. It would switch their grant award from $7,500 to $3,750.
Okay.
And this was recommended by the PACE committee for approval.
I'll make a motion that we approve the amendment to the PACE grant at 212 East Street.
I'll second that. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Moving on to finals.
Okay, I have 2 finals for you. The first, Brian Marshall at 411 Dowell Street. He completed a dilapidated structures grant on this property. These are a couple before pictures. And these are his afters. He did quite a bit of work, interior, exterior, really rebuilt most of this home, but it was completed according to his PACE grant. And he should receive his full amount of $12,500. He has already received part of it, I believe.
Beautiful.
Yeah, this was a nice project.
If you've really seen it before, you'll see how different this is.
I'll make a motion we approve.
We got 2 of them here. We're gonna do
Okay.
them together? We do them
Do them
batches?
together?
Yeah,
can,
is that okay?
yep. The last final is for 212 East Street, Jefferson County Youth Shelter. Completed these gutter guards as previously mentioned. Their work does meet the amended PACE guidelines, and they're asking for the disbursement of $3,750.
Okay, Dave.
And now I'll make a motion that we approve the finals for 411 Dow Street and 212 East Street.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. Mayor's comments, not a whole lot, just that we've had very robust tourists already and events for the city of Madison. The car show was phenomenal. Last weekend was the River Roots. Earlier today, we had a meeting on our water project. That is going well. We'll bring an update into BPW at the next meeting. And our ready projects are progressing. As Tony had mentioned, we were already scheduling ribbon cuttings for those. There's 18 to 20 projects going on around our community. Significant investment, significant amount of private investment, all corners of the city are being impacted by the new investment. And of course, our focus is on neighborhood revitalization and economic development, and I think we're doing really well in that regard. I'm very happy with the direction we're heading. We're also making a tremendous amount of progress on our parks. We'll have a park board meeting tonight, and community will get an update on how robust our youth participation is for our various programs, as well as our adults' participation in programs that are offered across our community. So more to come for the rest of the summer, and definitely a lot in the fall as we're already planning for that. We'll open it up now to public comment. If there's anybody here who'd like to address the Board of Public Works and Safety, now would be a time to come to the podium and make your statement. Please give us your name and address. Otherwise, I appreciate all the work that everybody's doing. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, June the 20th. It'll be delayed one day because Monday, June 19th is a holiday. Dave, anything else you would like to add for?
We have a groundbreaking coming up, correct? June 13th. Much
Beach,
anticipated
yeah.
Crystal Beach groundbreaking at 12 noon.
We have quite a few groundbreakings. Groundbreakings or ribbon cuttings are starting to happen, which is great because that's a culmination of several years of effort on the planning, design, appropriation process, then the bidding, and then the supervision process, and now it's coming together. I'd encourage community to drive around Oak Hill. Oak Hill is looking beautiful. That park is nearing completion. We'll be having a ribbon cutting on Oak Hill, I want to say June 20th. But we'll get a schedule out there, but June's going to be a very busy month with ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings, and we're anxious to get the Crystal Beach vertical construction underway there. Anybody else? Anything else?
I'll make a motion and we adjourn.
I will address,
Oh.
Shelby asked about the creek,
Oh,
so
okay.
we're probably about 75% of the way through the Army Corps data that they're providing us. I'll tell you, it's very technical. It does have recommendations in it. I attended Nicole and I attended a stormwater meeting with DNR and Mike Pittman, who's a county surveyor, last week. A lot of focus on stormwater planning and management. I believe that our policies have been lacking for quite some time. Our ordinances need to be updated like they have been with many other things. But the data we're gathering is going to be really helpful for bringing the solutions to the table. But, over the course of the next month or so, hopefully we'll get their final report. Thank you, Shelby. Anything else? Hearing nothing, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second that. Thank you, everybody. See you then. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.